Hey, welcome to Fries and a Glass of Wine. I'm Mel, and this is the podcast where we sit down, share a plate of fries, pour a glass of wine, and just talk. Like, really talk. Every other week, I invite a friend, or sometimes a stranger, to join me for a casual, heart-led conversation about life, love, work, or whatever's on our minds. No scripts, no structure, just real conversations over fries and wine. So grab a glass, settle in, and let's see where this one goes. I hope y'all enjoyed part 1 of my conversation with Craig, because here is part 2. Now, I think this is the part where you actually take away somewhat of a life lesson and learn something from it. But once again, the conversations are hilarious. And at this point, Craig and I are about 2 or 3 glasses of wine deep. So it's just hilarious all around. So buckle up and enjoy.
There's such a distinctive difference between who I am now and who I was that it's very clear to me when I'm in situations in like how I would have acted and how I act now. I'm like, I can tell. I'm like, man, old Craig would have been totally different. And it's nice space to be, but it will like remind me of what I did back then. Right. And so I'll be like constantly being like, oh man, old Craig, and I'll tell a story to somebody, right? And I was actually just recently talking about this trip to South America, and I just want to share this with you. And I just think every human being, if they heard something from somebody, I hope that somebody would share this piece of advice to them that I did. And it was, get the fuck out of your bubble when you are young as fuck and go to somewhere as far as you can go. Doesn't have to be, the other side of the world. Doesn't have to be even, like that. Maybe not necessarily if you're in Canada. I'm not talking go to the East Coast or the West Coast. I mean, go to another country and like experience the world from the perspective of another country. That to me, I mean, all the stories I talk about and stuff, like for me, when I went to South America, for me it was South America. It was the cheapest. This is early JetBlue days, right? JetBlue came in. There was a deal. I could go to Buenos Aires. I flew down there. This girl just broke in my heart. I was like, I'm going to leave the world. And I left Canada and I went down to South America. You may not have known this. And I went there for
So
3
when you
months.
say leave the world, that doesn't sound like
My world. I'll leave my world.
my
That was it.
bubble. Yeah.
I'll leave my bubble. And I took the tuition that I was given a grant, and I was like, cash that. And I flew down to South America with it, and no one ever chased me for that. So thank you, Algonquin. And so I ended up like going to Argentina for 3 months, and then like that gave me the travel bug, and I ended up doing most of South America the next year. And like, I mean, who you meet. There's the fucking, there's the relationships in the sense of like the friendships. There's like the just like independence. There's the like, you have to take care of yourself. And also when you don't take care of yourself and you just like end up in sketchy situations, you learn pretty quickly. Thankfully, I mean, I'm not talking sketchy situations where you're like worried about death. That's not what I mean. I mean, like, you miss a bus or you miss a plane and you can't like get to the next place. Now you have to figure out what the hell you have to do. There were some near death situations. I almost died 3 times in South America. I don't know. Have I told you about my near death experiences?
Why did we leave this for so late in the conversation?
God, I need to tell you at least 2. Can I tell
Okay.
you 2?
Yes, we'll figure this out in the edit.
Okay. I'm going to do this very quickly. Okay. The first one's quick. First one's quick. I was in Bolivia and I was on a bus going to a place called Rurrenabaque, I think was the name. And that's where you go for like the salt flats, like the photos, people, doing weird things and, posing in the salt. And, you're driving around the mountains, right? There's like, it's landlocked country, Bolivia, and it's like death on one side and like sheer rock on the other side. So it's pretty much death on both sides. And you just kind of have to just be okay with the fact that like, this is the country, this is what you're doing, and just don't look if you're scared. And, at a few hours into the drive, I remember I was kind of falling asleep. I was on the right side of the bus. This means something. And, and the bus like hits a very big bump, and I I teeter over to the left of the bus. Like I start leaning to the left, and I look to the window across from me to the left, and I'm looking down the mountain, and I'm like, what? That's very weird. But I'm like trying to sleep, right? So this is me like kind of groggily looking down, and I'm looking down, and I can actually, as I say this, I can remember things. I can remember shrubs on the side of the mountain, and it was just sand, right? Just like like a yellow sand all the way down. And then we hit a huge something. The bus flies into the air and then jostles as it lands, and then like straightens up and is like swerving left and right. And then we are suddenly like back on, I guess, like the road. And I thought, the fuck was that? And then I kind of just like washed it away. Maybe a boulder fell. Maybe we had to go around something. I'm not going to think about it, because what is the point of that? But as I'm kind of going through that process, people are screaming, right? There's like people literally losing their minds, crying. People are like, I hear tears, like everything. And the bus pulls over 2 minutes later. And we're at this like random convenience store, literally like built into the mountain, and people start funneling off the bus. And I'm like, I guess we got to get off the bus. Okay. So I get off the bus. People are still like crying now, full blown tears. And my Spanish was pretty shit, but I understood a little bit of stuff. And somebody comes up to me and she's like, do you understand Spanish? And her English wasn't very good, but in broken Spanish, in broken English, whichever way you want to go, she's like, the driver was drunk. He was wasted. He drove off the cliff because he took the turn too early. It was a left turn. And instead of just like going around the corner, he drove off the cliff. And the momentum of the bus carried us along the side of the mountain. And we then drove into where the road had turned. And then we blew straight up into the air and then came back down and somehow continued driving. The front of the bus was a little mangled. We probably like lost some luggage. But when I was looking down the mountain, it was because we were about to tumble down the mountain to our deaths. Right? Insane. Absolutely insane. I was like, la di da di da. The craziest part, the little cherry on top here, is that there was like a full on like rebellion, right? They're like, this guy's not driving the bus anymore. And there was a lot of Argentines on the bus, and one of them happened to be a bus driver. And so he decided he was going to drive the bus after literally a mutiny. They're like, get this motherfucker off the bus, get like the driver, put him in the back, get this new guy in there. And we drove like 10 kilometers an hour to the remaining part of their trip. The bus was a shitty bus, and so the Argentine bus driver actually was like struggling to just like gear because it was just such a sketchy bus. We get to the town late at night, and the cops are waiting for us. And what happens? They arrest the bus driver, who, by the way, I have a picture of because he fell asleep directly beside me, passed out, full red face, snoring, fucking blitzed out of his mind, right? I he gets we get to the town, and the cops are there, and they arrest him, because why? No, drunk driving, totally fine in Bolivia. You're not allowed to hand over your bus.
Stop.
You're not allowed to hand over your bus. So he got arrested for letting somebody else drive the fucking bus. How crazy is that? Right? Crazy.
Okay, there's so many thoughts coming to my mind for that. Like, one, how am I editing this episode? Because like this is the juicy stuff. But when I say like our lives are very similar, but like you're just like the amped up version of it,
Yeah, yeah.
I've had an experience like that. But
Really?
also, yeah, okay, so I'll get into that. But also, when you're like, people need to travel and go far away from home as possible. Yes, I 1,000% agree. Granted, there is privilege for that with to do
Totally.
that. So I just want to acknowledge that. But like, one of my questions that I would ask when I was hiring was like, oh, like, have you ever traveled outside the country? And like, where have you traveled to? Tell me about an experience there. Because like, when you are lost in a country where you do not speak the language and how you navigate that, like, you're absolute problem solving skills, right? Like, you learn about a lot about someone and like your ability to like consider others. So like, great advice. But
Also, if you travel alone, end up like it shows that you are able to meet people. You're not just traveling and walking around the cities by yourself. You are engaging with people. You're meeting other groups. It's a huge everything. Exactly. Totally agree.
But my similar story to yours was when I was in high school. So Miss Goody Two Shoes over here, but like at the same time not because
Sounds
like
like I can't see Miss Goody Two Shoes, but yes, okay. I'll
I
let
was hosting like house parties or like my best friend was hosting house parties. I lived in a small not I moved from a city to like a small town for high school. And so like there like that's like what you do. But at the same time, I had gone in my 11th in grade 11, I'd gone on this mission trip to the Dominican, up in the mountains. You go into Santo Domingo. So most people go to Punta Cana, right? The beach area. Santo Domingo is the capital. And then from there, it's a 2.5 hour drive west, closer to Haiti. And then we're at this convent, like, because I grew up in the Catholic school system, right? So we're at this convent. And then from there, it's like a 2 hour drive up north into the mountains. And it was the wildest experience. Like, it was an amazing experience. Like, we built homes up there. It was so cool. Like, saw shooting stars, like, really bonded with people. So I did that in grade 11. In grade with another school, like, I was sent by my school, fully paid for, by the way. And they even
Ooh, fancy.
paid running shoes for me. Like, it was all
Oh,
cool. I actually don't talk about this a lot, but so I went with another school to do this, and I was tasked to bring this program back to my school for my final year of school, and so I did. But we went to another area, and then on one of the days, like we couldn't. The foreman's like, "Oh, you can't do construction today." So they decided like, "Oh, we're gonna take all the because it was a program, a bigger program. We're gonna take this group to go to where I was the year prior." But there had been heavy rains the day before, and we're up in the mountains. So, like, it's like muddy and whatnot. And we're sitting in the back of a pickup truck, like,
boy.
just like scrunched in the in the bed of a pickup truck. Right. So we go to the place, and on the way back, we're driving, and it's like you said, like mountain, cliff,
Yeah, death or death.
death or death. And there's no fencing or anything along the side. It
Never.
is open. And our driver was sober, but the truck fishtailed, and for the grace of God, that in that short, like maybe 10-meter strip, there was fencing,
Oh
and so
my God.
and hit the fence, which saved us because we would have gone over the cliff. We would have died. Because we're in the back of a pickup truck. And so like, once like we got back on the road and we had to get out of the pickup and walk home back to our site. It was probably like an hour walking. We weren't in proper shoes. We're in flip flops at this point because it was a day off. So we're in flip flops and it starts raining too. So
No.
we're trudging through mud. I and like it's raining, it's dark, like there's trees overhead, like so it's like not coming down hard on us because there's a canopy from the trees, but like the ground is getting really muddy, and like you don't know what is mud versus what is donkey do
I mean,
walking through that.
pretty much
And
all
like you
dogs
say
do.
that
Yeah.
story about wall, cliff, you fully fishtailed off the side of the mountain, and I hit a fence. But I was,
God.
that immediately came to my mind when you were telling that
Uh,
story. I'm like, I've lived this
isn't it?
very similar life.
So okay, so there's I have to share the second one, but I'm also gonna because I have a problem. I need to tell you another one as well. That's the fastest one possible. When I was a very young kid, like I was probably like 7 or 8. I was visiting my uncle, who was a producer at this time, who was producing Nelly Furtado, right? And so I was at his studio.
Wait. On your mom's side or your dad's side?
This is my mom's side. The singer is also a producer. So he produced Nelly Furtado and Kanon actually. And so when I
Are
went to
you?
I know it's crazy. Props, Uncle Jerry. So I went to his studio and we went to the roof, right? And the roof is just like all white pebble. And I was just like running around. I'm a kid. I'm just like running around on a roof, and then I could see just like maybe 30 meters ahead there was a lower tier and then another like roof section that was all white pebble as well, right? So I could just see that it like dropped and I could just probably run and jump, right? And just like be on the other roof. And so I'm running towards this other roof and I don't know what it is. Maybe it's like some spirit, angel voice in my head, intuition, who knows? I'm fucking 7. I have this idea to just not jump, just like slow down. And as I slow down, I skid my feet and I realize there's a street between where I'm running and the building past where I was seeing. So to me, from where I was, it looked like it was just a drop, but there was actually traffic and everything there, and no one was there watching. My parents were like chatting with my uncle, and I was just like running around on the top of a fucking building.
Like a
And
dog off a leash.
exactly, like a dog off a leash. This is it. I'm telling you, Mel. This is who I am. I'm a dog, and I need a leash. I need it. Okay. And my parents were just not thinking about this. They don't even like I've told them about this, but they can't put it together. They're like, when was this? What? They don't realize that it was like crazy trauma. And I can still feel my body tighten up about that, right? When I think about that. That's one. The other thing was this is actually a crazy story. I have to share this one with you.
Okay.
So we're in Colombia. I stayed at a friend of a friend's on the beach in a place called Santa Marta. It was about 45 minutes towards the Venezuelan border in a place called Boca Grande, Big Mouth. And I was on a surf camp. We stayed there. We had a good time. We partied. It was fun. And then at the very end of our trip, we decided to go to this park called Tyrona Park. Tyrona Park, normally you take the road, like the main road in, and you'd have to pay about $20 to get in, and then you'd have to take a motorcycle cab, just somebody with a motorcycle that's like willing to drive you through the mucky shit to like get to the beach area where you'd stay and like explore the water, chill out, whatever. But instead, because we were on the beach, we thought we were just going to pay some fishermen some cash, $20 each, and they'll just take us in by boat, right, to the bay, and it'll be good. That sounded like easy peasy, done. I think we had 5 of us, right? Done. Early morning, I think it's 6 in the morning. It's like gray skies, a little wavy, but like fine, right? Fishermen are out there. We go out there, we pay them the cash, we jump into this tin boat and we start going towards Tyrona Park, right? I'm sitting at the front. You know how it's got the little like planks that are each like, you sit at the front and there's like two behind you, whatever. And it's got the little engine that you dip into the water. And we start going and we're going slowly. We're doing our thing. And then he turns into the bay, right? And I'm sitting again. I'm at the very, I just can't believe when I think about this, I'm like, what the fuck? So I'm sitting at the front and we're going like down the wave and it's getting pretty big at this point. And then we're coming up the wave. We're going with the wave, right? And I'm looking at the bay and I see the bay, but in front of the bay, I see very large rocks. Right? Like they look like teeth. So like if you could imagine like a predator, like that has all canine kind of teeth, all sharp teeth. It looks like that going around the bay, right? So the bay has no entrance, just these huge teeth of massive rocks. And when I say massive, I mean probably realistically bigger than a house. But when they're outside of like the water that you're in, they just are like much bigger than your boat, right? Like what you can see. But they're in the distance. I'm with the fishermen. They know what they're doing. And so I'm not actually freaking out whatsoever. And so we keep going towards these rocks. And I'm like, la, la, la. Oh, these rocks are getting bigger. At some point, this is when I just got to Colombia. My Spanish was pretty much shit. I knew the days of the week and how to count, and I could just hear them as in the fisherman and his like probably navigator who needed to be fired, yelling at each other, and they're screaming something Spanish, and the rocks are getting bigger, and I'm like, this doesn't feel right. There's something about this doesn't feel right.
You were so
So
trusting.
I just, you have to in these situations. Like, what am I going to do? Like, ask questions in another language and like just annoy people? You just got to like kind of put your faith into what they're doing, whatever. Like, that's just how I traveled. And so I realized at that point that we're not going the right way and we need to turn around. And that's why they're losing their mind. So the guy does a 180, right? And the 180 is like one of those like puttery ones because, it's the engine of a boat. And now we're facing the waves. So the waves are coming at us. And like as you kind of go over one, it's like pulling you back a lot. And we're like getting water in. I'm getting splashed with water because the waves are like they're getting the little white tips, right? And as this is happening, the engine dies. And I'm like, wait a second. This is not good. And I look behind us, and the rocks are right there. And we are about to hit like we're in a tin can, and we're about to slap against enormous teeth rocks that are like looking like they want to eat us, right? It's like very, visually like exactly how I'm describing it. And the guy's yelling, one navigator is yelling at the guy, and the guy's yanking the engine, like the frrr, 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 and it's like nothing's happening, nothing's happening. And I swear this sounds like a movie. I've said this 1,000 times. It's the same thing.
Lives have been like movies.
They are. It's there you go, right on theme. And then like a wave is coming at us. The fucking tooth mountain of a rock behind us. I'm realizing this is death. The guy starts the engine purrs and starts going, and we are fucking movie style fighting over the wave that's trying to push us back. At least to me, it feels like it's right there. Maybe we had one more wave or something, but it's like right there. And we go over the crest of the wave and we start going. And like the guy looked like he had just shit his pants. I look behind us and there's just a teeth. Like I said, there's teeth. We get out of that and we go around to the bay that has no teeth, completely calm bay. We cruise right up there and we get off and people are like, what the fuck happened? And they're explaining, holy shit, we turned down the wrong bay. There's two bays. One is death bay. One is life bay. And we hear that this one's actually called something like Pirate's Teeth Bay. And you go in there and you just don't make it out, right? Like the waves pull you in and these rocks crush boats, right? That's the whole thing. And that's where we went. Anyways, that was my other near death experience. And I somehow came out of that and I was like, man, dodge that bullet. And then Bolivia happened like 3 months later.
Whoever's, you have someone looking over you. Like there's someone on the other side keep like looking over you.
I have a cool way of, I'm not a religious person. I have a cool way of looking at how life is. I don't think I disagree with that. I actually think I take life, I think I have, if life is a video game, I'm playing on like hard, or maybe like the one that's after hard in games. You may not play a lot of games, Mel, but like there's usually like a
An
hardcore mode.
extreme.
There's something that's like stupidly hard, and I think I'm playing on that mode. But then there's like, I've got something that's able to.
Codes.
I got something that's helping me because it's true. I have had some weird experiences, and I've even heard like the little voice things where I'm like, "What was that?" And and then I would share that to people, and they're like, "I think that's someone that I don't think that's like that wasn't you. It didn't wasn't a happenstance. It was just So I'm starting to be okay with the idea. With I'm not a God believer. I'm not but I am a believer of. I'm a big believer of like soul. I'm a
Yeah.
big believer of soul. That's where I
Yeah.
am.
I think that there's someone, a soul on the other side looking out for you.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe. Totally. Props to you, soul. I'll give you mad tips. For
There's
sure.
1,000% someone looking out for you. So recently I got my first degree in Reiki. Are you familiar?
Oh,
Yeah,
nice. Congrats.
got that. And I got it for like my own like purposes. Like I just like wanted to get a little bit more in tune with my intuition because like if you hear these voices, you're probably clairaudient. So you hear things like yeah, it's a whole thing. Mm, I'm more claircognizant. Like I will just like somehow know things. Like my dad was like recently, he was like, I just got my mom's, death certificate. And like this is how like this is what she died of. I'm like, yeah, I already knew that. And he's
Oh.
like, how did you know that? I didn't know that. I'm like, no, like we talked about this. Like I know this. I've known this my entire life. Like not my like since she died. Like that's how I knew that. And like part of me is like he might have forgotten, but like there's other instances where I'm like, yeah, I already knew that. And they're like, how did you know that? I'm just like, I don't know.
Mm.
So I got the Reiki to like just get more in tune with that. And so I was doing Reiki on my mom the other day. And my mom is like she doesn't like spirits. She's seen ghosts,
Mm.
which make us, she does not like any of it. She, and like that, my maternal side of the family. maternal side of the family is very intuitive too. So like when my grandmother died, I knew when she died. I hadn't been told, but I knew because I smelt her perfume,
Interesting.
and she died
Oh,
in Chicago,
weird.
and I was in
Cool.
Toronto. Yeah. So I'm doing this Reiki session on my mom, and I'm like, she does her own research too. She's like, okay, there's no like spirits involved with this whatsoever.
It's pure energy.
Pure energy and pure good energy too,
Mm.
right? It's only for like your highest good. And so I'm doing it on her, and you can tell that it's working because like they will feel heat, and I might feel heat sometimes. So I'm doing it on her and like feeling the heat. I'm like, okay, this is working. Because like you just don't know, right? When you're like new to something, you don't know if it's actually working or if this is hocus pocus, even though I've been practicing like receiving it for like 2.5 years. And so like afterwards we're chatting about it, and she goes, yeah, so I saw Nick's mom. Yeah.
No.
And she passed 31. Yeah. And like my mom, like I said, does not like spirits seeing her, or seeing spirits. Um, she was like, yeah, was in my head, like I was talking to her sister who's alive and like we're very close with, and then she just appeared. And my mom's like, I was so calm and it was like nice to see her. And I was just like, I've never seen someone from the other side, but I think she just like wanted to say hi. And then, but there's like, I've grown up hearing all the stories about her, and like I technically did know her, but I was 4 when she passed. And there are times where I pray to her. I like talk to her sometimes. I'm just like, cool. Not pray, but I'll chat with her and be like, hey, can
Yeah,
you look
yeah.
out? Sort of thing. So like I believe in that part.
So this is going to be I don't want to talk about another podcast for more than a few seconds, but just for reference, have you heard about the telepathy tapes?
This is the third time I've brought up telepathy
Okay.
tapes in
So
the past.
I'm going to share this with you about the telepathy tapes because it gets a lot of people going, me included. But I listened to the first few episodes, and then I kind of like forced some of my family to listen to at least the first episode. And
It's a
I
podcast? I thought it was just like a tape. There's
no,
like
no, it's like 8 episodes. It's like at least it started with 8 episodes. I think there's some bonus episodes, but the idea it was. I mean, I can go into it, but the concept is basically touching on things that are a faux pas in like today's medicine or in like scientific world, right? Because a lot of it's about obviously telepathy, the telepathy tapes. So like reading minds, like connecting and seeing and speaking and learning things through means that are not like material or like through like speaking or like reading a book or that kind of thing, right? So I I'm very open to this stuff. The problem always for me though is when you get too far into a space, like when you have to like I can take a bite out of something, you can't serve me the whole pie, or else or else I'm like gone from it. And the whole podcast was the pie, and I was like, oh god, because the beginning few episodes felt very much the same to like what I said, like where I have that little happy space. There's a book I'd recommend for anyone that happens to stumble on this listening. It's called Journey of the Souls, and I thought it was such a pretty, like, beautiful way of thinking about life and death. And in the barest bones of abstract here, it's about the idea of like you, you're here to learn a lesson, and you go back to your wonderful place and your soul gets older. That's basically it, right? And then you come back and you learn and you go back, and the whole thing is that like you're progressing to like be a wiser soul. And sometimes you might have a really hard life, and this is not going back to my whole like I'm living a hard life thing. That's not where I'm thinking. Just but like you may be, for example, somebody that doesn't have a leg, or like somebody that like can't speak, and like that's a really difficult challenge, and you have to like work through that kind of thing, and you learn big deep lessons, and then your soul kind of takes that as something, right? And I thought that was beautiful because I always was okay with the concept of death early on, because you die, you become soil, a tree grows, squirrels eat from your tree. There's life. That's how you can picture like the circle of life from that concept. But like the soul piece didn't really fit there, right? You're like, what about like the the soul part, right? And then this came, and I was like, that's such a pretty thing. And then this telepathy tapes, the first few episodes fed so nicely into it. The later parts where they dig into it really challenges you on like reality, which is where you lose a lot of people, including me to some degree, but it touches on a lot of like what you're saying with your mom experienced. They talk about that kind of thing so casually in it that it's not something. It's just like it's almost like I it's just hard. That's really what I can say. It's like hard to like comprehend that kind of thing. I don't not believe it. That's the double negative. I believe it, but it's just hard for me to like
See that.
can see exactly. And so like I hear it, but I'm like, how does this fit? Because I'm somebody that needs to understand things. And when I can't understand things, I have a struggle with it being real. And also there's so many bullshitters out there. Right. And so that's the thing too. So like when I hear the bullshitters and I also am open minded, I this is the struggle. And so I'm like, that space, I'm so interested in it and it's so inviting, but I'm cautious.
Yeah. I mean, and you were also raised by a doctor. So
Yes.
like there's
He's
a
a
lot
religious doctor. He's like, that's a thing too.
so like there's a lot of like grounded in science and like all of that in your conversations that or like grounded in religion too. And this is like the antithesis of it. Yeah, because when I talked to my sister about this, she's like, that's woo, like that doesn't make sense. Like show me the data. Her
Uh,
favorite thing is show me the data, show me the
oh,
research.
she'd like telepathy tapes. The first few episodes, you're like, it's all data. The whole thing is data. And you're like,
Ooh, maybe
it's
send it to
hard
her.
to, that's the thing is that they get you with the data. That's what they do. And then you're like, I can't turn away because all they're doing is showing you research that is verifying what is being explained in these podcasts, and it's blowing your mind, Mel. It's blowing your mind. At the same time, your other part of your mind is like, this can't be real because world I live in doesn't doesn't compute.
Otherwise,
Doesn't
yeah,
compute.
that's been the journey that I've been on for the past few years. And I question, I'm a cautious participant where like for me to go even get the first degree in Reiki, I've been receiving Reiki energy for 2.5 years.
Mhm.
And for me to be like, yeah, I want to do like there was like some pull to get it. But
I'm
even then
happy
when
you
I
did that.
was what was that?
No, I'm happy you did that. It's awesome.
Yeah. It's interesting. But like when I was there, like there was three other women with me being going through this. And two of them were like, when you like have that like stereotypical image of like an energy worker or like
Mhm.
they're very like woo all of that person sitting next to me, she was all of that. She was like crying and everything. She's like, this is very validating for my soul. I saw my father and he blessed my who had passed on, he blessed my, and then like I felt my third eye just light up and then I see brightness coming on and I'm just like, yeah, no.
Yeah, that would scare. I'd be out of the door at that point. Like that kind of stuff. It's exactly right. I want to believe that, but that kind of stuff I run
It's
from
too much
right
for
there.
me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there was someone else and she sat across from me and she kept on like looking at me. And I was like, why do you keep looking at me? And I'm like, are you reading my energy right now? Like what? I'm like, you have something. And I'm like, what is it? And so she told me, she's like, yeah, I can I can see people's auras. And I'm like, what? She's like, when you kind of like, when you zone out and you're looking at a hot pavement and you see the waves coming off of it, she'll she gets that, but with people. So she'll see the waves. She won't see color, but she'll see the waves of it.
Very
And if
cool.
someone's like really excited, she gets it bigger.
Hmm.
And I'm just like, I don't know if I love that or not because I'm like, you're reading me, like what you're reading me, right? Like I
It's
don't
like
think
you can see me naked, and I don't. I'm not. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and I also like I have friends who I was telling her something and then she didn't say it at first, but then like she found out that I went to like, a Reiki person and she's like, "Oh yeah, like I see color." Not like see color, but like I see energy and color.
Mhm.
And she's like when you were talking about this, like I saw like really beautiful energy around it. I was just like, wait, what? What? Can you like, how much can you like, you feel naked.
Explain.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just like, but then also there's some times where I'm just like, tell me more.
Mhm.
Me more. There's actually this guy that
I never know where it's gonna go when you say, "Actually, there's this guy." So I do want to know.
and I didn't know this about him, but like I don't, and I still don't know the full extent to it. But like I like had to end things with him. But like we weren't really anything. But like I had to be like, yeah, like this isn't happening
Yeah, this is
anymore.
gonna be a nothing burger. Yeah.
Yeah. It was a FaceTime because he doesn't live where I am. He he was like, yeah, when I answered the phone call, like I knew this wasn't gonna be a good conversation because I could see your energy was different. And I was like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, like every time I talk to you, I can see your glow. And like I know when you're sick because like you don't shine as brightly. And I was just like, what? And I was just like, the tail and at the literal end of this is when you tell me that you've been able to do this. I'm like, I talk to you quite regularly, and now you're telling me this?
So it is fascinating though, right? Because like the
I
one
felt
thing
very good in that moment.
it's it's um like everybody has a story when it comes to this. Like there's something that is you walk into a room, you feel something, right? You feel something that is not one of
Feel
those things
people's
that just got,
energy.
right? Like you go and you're like, someone's got good energy. You could say anything. You could talk about good energy and bad energy to anybody and they could relate to it, right? They would understand it. Like, oh, this person's in a shitty mood and I'm picking up on it, right? That's like the basic level. And then I can understand, again, people that are more like sensitive or like acutely aware of things that are beyond that. I get the energy side. I do. I guess the hardest part for me is that like it's an easy thing to pull yourself into. And here's an example, right? Like if I'm in a hard time and somebody says something to me that feels like it's believable and like I'm drawn to it, I can like play into that, right? Like I can be like, "Oh, I felt that energy." And the truth is you probably could feel that energy, but you may not be the person that is actually able to feel that energy. You might just be somebody that's like fictitiously saying these things as um,
That's
you
how cults start.
well, that's what I'm kind of like. There's the people that I think that are actually genuine and have these abilities, and then there's the people that will just lean into these abilities. And what I'm really trying to say here is that like they're just a lot of shitty, fraudy people, and I just don't believe most people. Right, I just don't trust most people. Like that's probably it. I just don't trust most people, and so like this space, like the space that is when I interact with somebody and they start like leaning into this, oh, I felt the this, and I am so skeptical. That's usually what it is. I'm like very, very skeptical. And so I need something to like root me into that belief. The telepathy tapes does that very well to circle back, but also, um, Journey of the Souls does the same thing. It does it like they've helped me with like that piece. I found that nice because I also was raised in a cult, so that like helps.
Wait, what?
Well, like like our whole meeting cults. Like you have never, you don't, you must know something about this. No, in
You
the
were
cult.
raised in a cult?
Well, like I mean, my parents are still in it, so I guess I was. Yeah, I was totally raised in it. Yeah, like I mean, it's
Parents are in a cult.
well, like not like cult. Like there's not one guy that there is. There's a grand something probably somewhere I've never met, but like it's not church. If you Google two by two or the truth as a like I don't know, it's the truth church something like that, you'll see it. It's on Wikipedia. It's bizarre. I never knew what it was called the entire time I was in it. And then like, the whole molesting of kids and stuff came out probably like 5 years ago, maybe 7 years ago, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe this is happening to our place." And then I realized, oh my God, as more information came out, I was in a cult that just like, it was very culty. We had, we would go to conventions every year that were like under a tent, and there was like maybe like 1,000, 2,000 of us under a tent, and there was workers. They were the priests. The workers would go to your house, and they would eat your food, and you'd give them your car to like drive around. You give them money, and then they were like, they were like I said, they were like the priests. They didn't have sex, they didn't get married. And then you would go to a house on Sundays instead of a church. The person that owned the house would be like the leader. We sang hymns, we had Bible study, all sorts of shit.
Okay, I like vaguely remember our uncle mentioning something, and I was like,
Yeah,
"This is a cult." I didn't.
he would have totally been in it. He would have gone to this until he was probably at least 16, until he was at least, the uncle that we are both talking about would have gone to this till he was at least 16, because that was a family rule. 16, a terrible family rule.
The fact that we,
Yes,
I've
cult is
known you
coming
for
in at the 2 hour
so
mark.
long. We've had this conversation. We're at like hour 2 of this recording, and this is when you bring up that you were in a cult.
There's a lot of stories, Mel. There's a lot. All right. I don't know what to say. There's a lot. There's a lot. This is why Storytime with Smitty was literally going to be my telling of stories, just me. And then, like, the only reason it would last forever, it was that I would have other people to kind of fill the time between my endless stories. I have so many fucking stories. I wrote a book about my life when I was in my second year university, my third year actually, university, and I deleted it. I wrote it, like a lot of it, and the girl I was dating was like, "How could you ever write a book about this? My family would read about this like it was going to be some kind of bestseller. It was going to be a trash seller. It would probably have done nothing." But actually, I actually thought it was pretty good. But it was just me telling all the stories about the drugs I'd used. I've done a lot of drugs. It's about the times I've had sex in weird places, who I've had sex with, not names, but like just crazy situations and experiences and all this stuff. And like at that point, I was in my early 20s, and I was like, nobody, which is not true, but to me, I was like, nobody has done this much crazy shit by the age of 22 at the time, 21, 22. I have to write about it. And she made me feel like, oh my God, you're right. I should be embarrassed about this. And I fucking super stoned one night. I got really high, and I hit the shift delete, which is like permanent delete. It doesn't go to the trash bin. It just like goes to the ether that is nothing. It's gone. And that was it. And I've never gone back to it. I have so many. That was before I went to South America. Right?
I
I
like
had
I'm not, no, I don't want you to feel this silence. I need to process this information. Right.
crazy. I know. Crazy.
Oh my God. Well, we can talk so much more about all of this stuff, but like, hey, let me wrap up the cult, the skepticism part, because like that's good to have. And someone, an energy worker, which people are going to be like, Mel, like you're into energy. I'm like, yeah, I give off Zoe Kravitz earthy vibes, like especially with the braids.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Look at that. Joy Crowd. Good call. Good call.
yeah.
You or whoever said that. And then now you
Someone
reference.
said
Good
it to me, and I was just like, but I already gave off those vibes.
call.
I'm actually, I can give off a lot of different vibes. I'm like, it's Zoe, like with my soul. I have an LA soul, which
Zoe's got a
from
good soul. I like. Yeah, I never met her, but Hollywood.
that earthy like plays with. I don't play with dark stuff. Being into Reiki, essentially.
Yeah.
This energy person that I had met, and I was just like, yeah, I'm a little skeptical of this, like blah blah blah. She's like, you should be skeptical of it, because like if you're not, that's how you get pulled into like the dark stuff, and you can sell your, not like sell your, yeah, you essentially sell your soul, like because you need that critical thinking, right? And so yeah, that skepticism is good to have. Like I still am like, I'll tread with caution, or like not caution, but like hesitation.
There,
I
there's there's an important piece that's like so the reason that I'm not religious is that you have to have blind faith, and I'm not okay with blind faith. I'm just not okay with that. I'm not okay with somebody telling me something and I have to believe it because they said something is true, right? Like I need to be able to ask questions. I have a brain. I have the ability to like challenge like other people's perspectives and whatever it is, ideas, and that's what I should do, right? Like that's it. If you can give me a rational, you know, actual response to what a question I have, and it makes sense to me, and I go, okay, that makes sense. We're good. But if you just have to say in the end, finally you get to it, and it's the same response that like a parent gives a child, like you just have to listen to me. It's not gonna fly. I'm just sorry. That's not gonna be good enough for me, right? Like that's just not gonna be enough for my mind to be satisfied. Just believe. No, I need to know there has to be something else there for me or else I'm just not going to grasp it. And that's exactly right. If you just like if people need hope and they're willing to attach themselves to anything that gives them hope, they're also willing to follow anyone that's willing to take advantage of them. And so I'm just like, that's just, sorry, that's just not the space I'm in. Right. And so, hey, science is always changing. We 1,000 years ago, how many years ago we thought like gods were the god of nature and the god of water and the god of whatever death and like everything changes. Things change. We understand more. Eventually, one day we're gonna know about how we can traverse the planets and all this stuff. And this is science. So I can't say I know or don't know. I have to be open to it.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to like put us down another rabbit hole, but I'm going to.
Do
But
it.
like the most recent findings about the pyramids in Egypt, like what's
Ooh.
underneath it. Have you heard that?
Oh no, do tell, do tell.
It's almost like an ultrasound form of technology where they were able to scan below the pyramids and there's these pillars and there's like not carvings, I would say, but these pillars go really deep down and you're like, how, like if you think about the pyramids in general, like how were humans able to build that without any form of machinery? And we can barely build like towers without a ton of help. So like how were they to do that back then when they weren't quote unquote as advanced as we are right now? But then they have these pillars deep down, so it's like creating more conversation about like, wait, how advanced was their society, civilization? And yeah, there's a whole lot coming out about that. I'm really intrigued by it. Um, yeah, it's fascinating to me.
There's this weird thing. There's like a balance between you can be curious about what's like the conspiracy crazy person talk. You're like, I'm going down crazy land. I'm starting to talk about aliens. You're like, were there aliens that built the pyramids? Because
No, but like, did you also hear about like when the Navy, they did it discreetly. Well, you remember during COVID that they had released that they had like extraterrestrial like evidence.
so when people fell on the were sharing this, I was a little skeptical again. I saw it, but I was like, this isn't anything special. But maybe I'm missing the
Or
thing.
they're not
If you
online.
I'm open to the idea. It makes total sense to me that there's people beyond, our planet. That makes sense, sure. But my problem more is that like like we've like Hollywoodized it. Like so I'm like they're not like skinny headed gray figures with big eyes and like in a saucer. That's what so whenever I hear these things, I'm like, yeah, aliens, I'm sure aliens have probably been watching us for ages.
Wait, but so I think it's in December, and the reason I know this because it connects to once again a guy.
Haha, yeah, it's okay.
But like the Navy, it was November is when it came out because the Navy, there was a congressional hearing and the Navy had released like that they had evidence that there's extraterrestrial life, but it's not in the skies, it's in the ocean. And because they've registered um, movement in there that is faster than any machinery and whatnot, like they had just like evidence.
Mm.
that they believe that extraterrestrial life lived in the oceans. The reason why this connects to a man, oh man, this is one of the shady ones, right? That
Okay.
we already know this. That you know who this is that I'm referring.
Marble? I'm just gonna say marble.
Marble.
No, I don't want to say another word. There's too much information with the other word that goes with marble. I need your permission to say the other word.
You just
It's
say it.
marble headboard.
I can't believe you just brought that.
Did I nail it?
No,
Oh,
no,
I told you.
no,
I warned you. I tried to warn you. I tried to warn you. Marble, I thought was enough.
no,
Okay.
no. This,
Sorry. You have the power of the edit.
but I can't edit that out because the flow of the story is gonna.
I'm sorry. Marble, I thought that was enough.
No,
I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said more.
this is from November. So this is
Okay.
recent.
Oh, just this November. When you said November, I assumed that was just November. Like it could
Yeah,
have been 5 years ago.
yeah.
Okay.
No, this is like recent. It was, and I can talk about the story because like I've gotten permission to, but this was the one. It was one of my really good friends, her childhood best friend. So like the you version of to me, right? And we had met one night out, and I was just being my regular casual self. I was like, whatever, whatnot. And he approached me. That man, the one that really liked me, wanted to date me, and I kept on saying no for good reason. Anywho, he used to be in the Navy. And so I had asked questions. And so he like was on submarines and like he would go down for 2 months at a time. So like obviously, like you don't meet someone who's been on a submarine. Like that's not a real job.
Yeah, it's true. It doesn't sound like a real job. You're
It's
absolutely
not
right.
a real job. Like it's a
They
made
just
up job
float
that
in
you
the
hear
ocean
about.
all day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, obviously I have a bunch of questions. So this is why it happened around that time because the I had questions with him. I'm like, well, like, was it really scary down there? Blah blah blah. Like, did you see a lot of stuff? He's like, it was scary. Look, he didn't see. They saw by sound because it was all sonar, and so you didn't. He would say you would hear the whales at night, but you didn't know how far away they were if you're not looking at the radar and how big they are,
Mm,
right? And so 6 weeks after he and I met, and he's like, "I want to date you," and I said no because of the red flags that I saw because I'm really good at reading
nice.
situations. Um, his friend messaged me and be like, "Yo, this man's engaged," and I'm like, "What?"
Yes. Okay. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
And she's like, "I didn't even know he was seeing anyone," and I'm just like, "What?" And I'm like, he like fully like he was doubling down like we would be so great together, but I'm like, no, red flags. Anywho, so he got engaged 4.5 weeks after he was like, I wanted to date you.
I remember you. The last
Yeah.
time we spoke, you told me literally about this thing, and I was like, "How does this happen to you?"
Yeah. And like I had no idea. Like we like people like we were getting along in front of like her friends and family too. Like my friend, not his
Mm,
now fiance's
yeah,
friend.
that would be weird.
But like he wasn't discreet about it. Like he was like openly flirting with me and like trying. So I was like, okay. But as I'm hearing about all of this, my reaction goes, I'm really upset about this because I can't ask him about the aliens in the ocean.
But you need to do it. You didn't.
No, because I did. I found out about it right after.
Oh,
And like
I
I
just
like never kept up with conversation because I'm like, you are a fuckboy. Like you like the red flags are there.
you
But
should
then
have used him like he was going to use you, Mel.
but I didn't know about it at that time. And I got really mad because when I heard about the congressional hearing, I was like, wait, that's around the same time that we met. So when he said like it was really unnerving at night when you would hear these things and you just didn't know how close they were and how far away they were. I'm like, you were probably part of that team who was aware of the aliens. And so I told my friend, I'm like, I'm really upset that like I can't ask about the aliens because like that's an important conversation. Like you can't just do it in your text. And she's like,
Yeah, or you can.
she was like, she laughed. She's like, not the aliens. I'm like, I have questions.
But that's true. I'm with you, Mel.
Yeah,
You need to know about the aliens.
I need to know about the aliens. And she's like, you're not more upset about the fact like that he's now engaged and like he was doing all that. I'm just like, unfortunately, like, I'm not surprised.
No, you're like been there, done that, unfortunately.
Been there,
But I
done that.
haven't heard about the aliens. That's
Yes, like
new for
let's
me.
focus on the important stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The
So,
aliens.
so my last comment on aliens is that you know how we've been doing the radio signal out into space. I heard that there was the first time we've received a response,
I did not hear about
and they're
that.
like deciphering it. If is it just like random radiation that they're finding from some spot, or is it actually a response? Who knows? I just know it's cool. It's one of those things. Again, you can't write
Yeah.
off. You can't. You can't.
I want to know more.
Yeah.
And yeah, we'll see. But Craigie, this has been a fantastic conversation.
That was me waving, by the way, so you couldn't see my hand.
Yeah. Um love you the most. Love our conversations the most.
Love
We're
you.
gonna
Love
have to
you.
wrap because we're both out of wine and fries.
Thanks so much for sharing some fries and a glass of wine with me today. If you enjoy this conversation, make sure to follow the show on Apple Podcasts or Spotify and subscribe on YouTube so you'll know exactly when the next episode drops. Until then, take care, stay curious, and keep the good conversations flowing. Cheers.